Hello, Internet! I'm here to talk about Jeff Carlson's A Lovely Little Christmas Fire in Asimov's science fiction magazine. Starship Sofa is doing their podcast with the story. I'm recording my introduction, thought I might as well put it up on YouTube at the same time. So here we go in 3, 2... Welcome to Masterpiece Theater and Deep Thoughts with Jeff. I would like everybody to sit down, strap on an adult diaper, maybe take a Valium if you're feeling a little tense. We're going to be having some heavy conversations about the role of race in literature. Science fiction is traditionally just a very white, subset of literature. It's about white guys in space! I mean, that's back in the 50s and the 60s. This has begun to change a great deal. I am hardly the only writer who's doing this. As against the 21st century, you're seeing folks from all walks of life, creeds, races, religions, all there in science fiction. I think that's awesome. That's what the world is like. I live in California. When I walk down the street, when I look around at my friends, there's all kinds of people who aren't. It's not just a bunch of squeaky clean, white Aryans. That's just not how the world is. If you've read my books, my other short stories, I write present-day tech thrillers. The present day that's just how it is. That's just the future is now. So I'm personally not very threatened by that. That's just it's just more representative of just my life. But there are some people who find that less than attractive. So let's take a step back. We'll digress briefly. A Lovely Little Christmas Fire is a standalone sequel to my short story Gunfight at the Sugarloaf Pet Food and Taxidermy that ran in Asimov's a couple years ago. Both of these stories feature an African-American heroine named Julie Buchanan. This is a black woman. She's presented in the stories not only as competent, but as being clever and sexy and a genius and full of energy and funny and wonderful and great, right? Now, I don't have some kind of axe to grind. I am not like a raving liberal pinko commie who thinks that we should all have, chips in our frontal lobes to make sure that we're all politically correct all the time. For me, it was really just a plot device. If you've read my other stories, my books especially, one of the major themes that just interests me that I keep coming back to is isolation and difference. Sometimes it's about people trapped in a strange environment and trying to reach out. Sometimes it's about crazy little aliens, down beneath the ice that'll rip your face off, and just the differences between them and the isolation of their environment and how they relate to the rest of the universe. I'm just interested in things that are different, trying to fit their way in. Probably goes back to my tortured childhood when Jeffrey didn't fit in and had to find his way in. And so these are the themes that, that's just something that I just find really, really interesting. I was too smart as a kid, and I had 3 or 4 really good friends, but everybody else thought I was weird. Plus I had really, really curly hair, and they made fun of me. So anyway, I wrote these stories, and again, it's a plot device. In the story, it's good for a couple paragraphs of texture. I mean, Julie talks about, she jokes about how she's the only black woman for 300 miles. The stories are set in Montana, right? And most of the people there are white. And she's from Florida, and so she's trying to fit in and, learn how to talk like the locals and make friends, and she reflects on the differences between urban Miami-Dade, versus Sugarloaf, this town of 5,000 people in Montana. The second story is set in Missoula, Montana, which is this giant metropolis of 60,000 people, right? I mean, it's nothing. It's one of the biggest cities in Montana, though. So it's just a little bit of background and characterization and character arc. That's why I did it. However, there were some people who took offense to this story because, all the local yokels were the white guys, and then there was this super genius black girl, and I'm a white guy too, so where do I get off, selling out my own race and all this kind of stuff. And I guess there was some guy who was stalking the message boards at asimovs.com and raising quite a ruckus about how Sheila Williams, the editor, was selling out to, politically correct Democrats and liberals like myself. And, I'm like, dude, I'm a libertarian. I believe in a small, fiscally responsible government who keeps their fingers off of me and mine. Don't pry into my business, right? I'm hardly like a bleeding heart liberal. So anyway, the last time I saw Sheila, she was relating the story of this guy and how she would really like to kind of tweak his nose. And I popped right up and said, Sheila, I have actually a couple really good ideas for more Julie Buchain stories. I mean, I don't know if I want to write a series of them, but again, I could easily write like a trilogy of these stories. And she said, man, Jeff, that would be awesome. Please send them to me. The first story was a lot of fun. I assume there'll be, lots of, romance and mayhem and things blowing up. And you guys know how I like to blow stuff up in the second story. And I'm like, gosh darn right, I'm going to blow stuff up. And, there'll be some sexy dialogue and stuff. And I'm working on the third Julie Buchain story right now. It's tough to find time for short stories with my deadlines for the novels. Obviously, the novels are my meat and bread. So that's all. I don't really want to talk about the story itself too much, except that it's set in Montana and it's set in Missoula, Montana. And again, I wreak havoc upon poor old Missoula, which is a lovely town, a lovely city. I've been there. Skied, not like there, but nearby, passed through. I have family in Montana. I used to spend my childhoods there. I've been there for Thanksgiving. It's a great part of the world to live. Totally dig it. Not trying to offend anybody. It was a character plot or a character device. I'll stop talking now, and you guys can enjoy the story. Okay, wait. I'm back. I thought I was done. I walked away, and I had like 8 more ideas. Okay. So if you had to live with me like my wife does, you would realize I am not the most politically correct guy, right? My favorite show in the whole world is South Park. No, Kenny! The guy who was giving Sheila Williams over at Asimov's a bad time because he thought that gunfight was some kind of, big leftist conspiracy of mind-warping propaganda makes me think of the best scene in the entire Star Wars universe, right? Luke is on Dagobah in the jungle, and he's above that spooky hole, that nexus in the Force. You go down there and you confront your worst fears. And so Luke turns around to Yoda and he says, "What's in there?" And Yoda looks at him and he says, "Only what you take with you." I think a lot of people who are the most strident in politics, they're kind of freaking out over demons of their own creations. It's nice to have things to feel important about. That's why you have the fringe elements kind of always spinning their wheels, getting all upset and worked up about these things that a lot of the rest of us are just kind of like, what are you talking about, buddy? So, deep thoughts with Jeff, right? Now, on to the story. Thank you.